A once powerful mogul, whose empire dominated the industry, is now facing a massive $60 million legal battle. This shocking turn of events leaves us wondering, what hidden truths lie beneath Diddy's glamorous legacy?
Are you afraid in some ways that he'll get out, that there'll be some sort of retribution?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even doing this, you know, it's like, maybe I shouldn't say, maybe I should stop talking, shut up, you know, but it's like, you know, well, not talking hasn't changed anything either.
Dee Woods was a rising star. Her promising career launched by music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
He was looked at as a hero of our community, and myself included, I looked up to him too, you know? So a lot of people don't want to believe that their hero can be this other person.
But now the former Danity Kane member is joining a chorus of voices speaking out against him, saying she felt Diddy created a verbally abusive work environment.
I'm curious why you decided to speak up now.
I would say that this moment now is a time where I feel like my experience, my truth will really be heard and actually considered and believed.
While the world watched her climb the charts with hits like Showstopper and Damaged, Dee Woods says she was living in fear under the glare of reality TV cameras on Making the Band.
It was not a good experience.
For years, Sean Diddy Combs built his empire on music, fashion, and relentless ambition. But now, a wave of lawsuits is crashing down on him following the closure of New York City's Gender-Motivated Violence Act legal window on February 28th. One of the most explosive claims comes from Sarah Rivers, a former contestant on his hit show Making the Band. Rivers has filed a 148-page complaint in federal court, detailing horrific experiences that left her emotionally scarred and deeply affected in all aspects of her life. How did a once promising opportunity turn into a nightmare of control and humiliation? And can one of the biggest names in the music industry withstand this relentless legal onslaught?
Diddy's ex Making the Band singer Sarah Rivers is coming at his neck in a new lawsuit, and the allegations stem from her time on the popular MTV series. In a sprawling lawsuit obtained by TMZ, Sarah claims that Diddy subjected her to mistreatment, which wound up becoming content for millions to see on TV. Now, here's the thing. I agree. Diddy was unhinged. He was a maniac. He was maniacal on Making of the Band. The suit filed by attorney Ariel Mitchell The suit filed by attorney Ariel Mitchell on behalf of Sarah Rivers cites the infamous cheesecake from the Making of the Band 2, where she and the rest of the band had to walk several blocks to get Diddy a sweet treat as one of the numerous incidents of abuse. She also complains of being forced to sleep in an open bay with 4 other males despite the fact that she was married at the time, and says she was threatened by being ousted if she didn't comply. Okay, Sarah, you got a case. The suit also names MTV, Viacom, and several ex-Bad Boy employees who had a profile on the series at the time, including Diddy's mother, Janice, and ex-assistant Farnsworth Bentley. What? Sarah goes on to allege that Diddy acted maliciously and recklessly with her career by publicly dismantling the group while pocketing most of her show money.
Yo, fam, Puffy just told us to go to the store in Brooklyn and bring him back a cheesecake and walk.
What? Dad, see me on TV from punk ass bitch, yo. It's crazy. If I walk to Brooklyn, I'm going home. That's where I live, y'all. I'm not walking. Brooklyn is crazy.
Yo, it's called Making the Bitch, not Making the Band. I said we go back and tell him we ain't doing it.
Got too more respect for him.
It's slave labor right here, man.
It is, but hey, yo, if you're the captain, bro, whatever you do, I'm with.
I mean, come on, man. Everybody got to be with me, though. I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Yo, I'm with you.
You heard me?
To the end of this shit, man. So what they gonna tell me? They gonna tell me to y'all stay there and then what? Nah, I ain't staying. I'm not staying. I'm not staying.
Drop you.
You drop me, you drop all of us, yo.
Worst come to worst, my peoples come first.
I got you.
My pieces come first.
I gotta go, Tony.
Rivers describes her experience on making the band as more than just challenging. It was a daily ordeal. She claims her eating and sleeping schedule was strictly controlled, and despite being married, she was forced to share a room with 4 men. Her lawsuit paints a disturbing picture of a toxic environment, alleging unpaid manual labor and constant mockery about her appearance. Perhaps the most shocking allegation involves an incident where, according to Rivers, Diddy used his left hand to adjust her jacket collar before running his hand across her chest while repeating the phrase, "If you need anything, let me know." She also claims that he deliberately sabotaged her record deals, preventing her from advancing in her music career.
In the nearly 150-page filing, Sarah Rivers, then known as Sarah Stokes, describes an awful and terrifying experience being a contestant, only for it to get worse when she actually made the band. Now, the lawsuit includes allegations of sexual harassment, forcible touching, and when she told Diddy no, well, he allegedly fired her and blacklisted her from the music industry. Sarah Rivers named nearly 30 defendants in her lawsuit beyond Diddy. It named former Bad Boy Records president Harv Pierre, Diddy's former assistants like Farnsworth Bentley, making the band boot camp instructors, dance choreographers, Diddy's mom Janice Combs, Paramount, Viacom, MTV, and more. According to the filing, defendants Lou Pearlman, Burr & Murray Productions, MTV, and UMG offered Diddy the show to repair his image after the 2001 criminal trial where his former protege Shine was sentenced to a decade in prison. So I mentioned the complaint is nearly 150 pages. The start of the complaint lists out all the defendants and mainly their ties to Diddy, so that took up more than 20 pages. Then from page 26 to 74, it describes every single episode of the show Sarah was on. From episode 1, where Sarah, the plaintiff, meets Diddy, then episode 3, where the contestants enter the Bad Boy boot camp to make the group, and from Sarah's complaint, it sounded like boot camp was from HE double hockey sticks. The complaint alleges Diddy eliminated contestants for complaining about not being fed. Only the female contestants were made to dance for or do choreography for Diddy. Plus, don't even think about crying or you're out of boot camp and not making the group. From there, it was more allegations of depriving the group of food, comments about Sarah's body and how she needed to get firmed up. The filing says Sarah was the only one Diddy scrutinized in a sexual and humiliating manner. Sarah alleges one instance where she was recording in the studio, Diddy saw her walking through the hallways and backed her up against the corner, preventing her from moving. He then allegedly got so close to her where he could kiss her, and then asked her if she was doing okay and needed anything. According to the complaint, Diddy ran his hands across her breasts. Sarah describes being frozen in confusion and fear. Then when Diddy went back to the studio, she walked as fast as she could away from him and left. Now, if you watch the show, you know how it ended. The group was made and it was called to band, but by the end of season 2 of the show, Diddy dismantled it. But Sarah alleges her rejecting Diddy's advances and refusal to pose for Playboy led him to fire her and disband the whole group. Sarah alleges Diddy was in breach of contract and never received any composition rights or credit for the songs used on season 2 and season 3 of Making the Band. She says the group was only given $5,000 in cash after tour performances. The only time she actually got a check was when she said she was pressured to sign to a publishing agreement with the company owned by Diddy's mom, Janice. So in exchange for her signature, she claimed she got a one-time payment of $25,000. And sure, $25,000 sounds like a lot, but not for years worth of work and filming all day and all night from 2002 to 2004.
Diddy's legal team has strongly denied these accusations, dismissing them as completely false. This is yet another example of baseless claims being filed against Mr. Combs, they stated, insisting that he has never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone. They argue that these lawsuits are merely opportunistic, emerging at the last minute as the legal window closed. As these cases continue to unfold, many are questioning whether this legal storm is a strategic attempt to dismantle the legacy of a music icon.
Diddy has denied all the allegations against him, and when it comes to Sarah's lawsuit specifically, his legal rep said, quote, "This is yet another example of false claims being filed against Mr. Combs. No matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted or sex trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. We live in a world where anyone can file a lawsuit for any reason. With the deadline for New York's Gender-Motivated Violence Act expiring tomorrow, it's clear that opportunists are rushing to file last-minute meritless claims. Mr. Combs remains confident he will prevail in court."
Elizabeth, I wasn't surprised that we saw lawsuits filed on the last day. Of course, the window is closing, so if anyone didn't file, they're probably going to be prevented from filing unless another state ends up opening the statute of limitations, or a city like New York did. So the fact that we're seeing these last-minute lawsuits is something that's typical. The fact that we saw so many is atypical, but of course we're dealing with someone who is facing dozens and dozens of lawsuits already.
And just before we get into more of this complaint, talk to me a little bit about how powerful that look-back window was that really allowed a lot of Diddy's alleged victims to file complaints and lawsuits against him, given that the statute of limitations in other cases would have been expired.
Elizabeth, it's really powerful, and with sex abuse and sexual assault, there's been a lot more recognition, and what legislatures have done is they've opened up these statute of limitations. It really started actually with the Catholic Church and the sex abuse cases, and what they tried to do is open the statute of limitations for both criminal and civil. Criminal was struck down as unconstitutional, a violation of the ex post facto clause, but these civil statute of limitations, because we're just talking about money, these windows, these openings, they have been allowed. And in Diddy's case, first it was New York State and now New York City. And now both of those windows have closed. So unless someplace like California or Florida or someplace where sexual assault happened, someone could file a claim there, this is probably going to be the end of the road for most of the Diddy claims, at least certainly in New York.
Rivers' lawsuit is not an isolated incident. It's just one of many controversies surrounding Diddy. Shockingly, some headlines even suggest that he confessed to ordering Tupac Shakur's murder, a claim as outrageous as it is hard to believe. Additional legal documents have implicated grand jury witness Courtney Burgess and media giant Nexstar in what Diddy's team calls a coordinated effort to spread misinformation. Attorney Ariel Mitchell, representing Rivers, has clashed with Diddy in court before, adding another layer to this ongoing battle. What started as a lawsuit is now unraveling into a full-scale exposé of alleged abuse, power struggles, and manipulation.
In the apartment in 2018.
Very savage gang rape.
A woman claims to have met Diddy over FaceTime in 2018 after running into one of his friends at a bar. During that conversation, her attorney said the woman made a comment that upset the rapper.
Told Mr. Combs she believed he had something to do with Tupac's murder, so she wasn't interested or impressed with seeing him.
The lawsuit says a month later, Diddy's friend allegedly set her up to be raped by Diddy in Orinda, where she said she was drugged and threatened with a knife, and Diddy said she would pay for her statements about Tupac during the video call. The lawsuit says that while violently raping the woman, the rapper told her her life was in his hands, and that if he wanted, he would take her, and she would never be seen again. According to her attorney, the woman was raped by other men as well, and despite being drugged, she was able to escape. On her way out, telling Diddy she did not party with him and did not enjoy partying with him, and that he raped her. The lawsuit claims neighbors in the area called police.
Contra Costa Sheriff came out to the neighbor's home at the time of the incident because several police reports appearing, several 911 calls allegedly were made.
According to the lawsuit, several weeks after the rape, the accuser went to the hospital because she was still in pain.
The lawsuit claims hospital personnel called Walnut Creek police, who took a statement from the accuser. This time, she said she did not want to name Diddy. She said she was afraid that she wouldn't be believed and that later on, the rapper would harm her.
New witness before the grand jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case. Courtney Burgess, former associate of Kim Porter, that's Diddy's ex-girlfriend, mother to 4 of his children, and unfortunately, the woman we've seen in the video. The allegation, he has seen, that's Cassie, not Kim Porter. Cassie's the one we saw in the video. It's hard to keep them straight, let's be honest. All right, so he has seen, which I think is the key word in this story, salacious videos of Diddy and celebrities engaged in sex acts, including with underage victims. He also alleges to have the unedited version of Kim Porter's diary. True? What's the chance? And if so, so what? We know many lawsuits have been filed against Combs alleging abuse. Many of them, to this point, have been anonymous. Now, there is a reason that people are often allowed to allege and be anonymous. However, a judge ruled that a woman who anonymously sued Combs this month for rape must reveal her name on her lawsuit or will be tossed out. Lawsuit alleges Combs raped her in 2004 at a party in a Manhattan hotel. She was 19, college student. Also allegedly ordered her to perform oral sex, or else he would have them both killed, her and a friend. Otherwise, he would have them both killed.
Amid these legal troubles, Diddy appears to be making moves to secure his financial standing. In an unexpected twist, he has listed his luxurious private jet for charter. His sleek, all-black Gulfstream 550, registered under his company LA LLC, is now available for elite travelers through exclusive platforms like Victor and Jetly. The jet, stationed at Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles, accommodates up to 14 passengers, though renters may never realize they're flying in the aircraft of a man facing mounting allegations. At the same time, Diddy has put his Beverly Hills mansion on the market for a staggering $61.5 million. These strategic financial decisions suggest he may be liquidating assets to manage the increasing legal costs. The irony is striking. As his personal and professional legacy faces immense scrutiny, he's selling off high-value properties to keep his empire from collapsing.
First time in the stand.
It's gonna be better once some stuff is swapped.
Smell of newness. Fresh mahogany.
So we have this Gulfstream, a G550. It was registered by Love Air LLC sometime in 2020 or 2021.
Well, for one, the price has to be right, okay, so that's why we offered $30 million. But the home was a little underwhelming. When I went inside, it really wasn't reaching that $60 million expectation that buyers want. So I saw room for improvement, and I saw room for my company to do well.
Okay. I mean, so did you actually put a $30 million offer on it, or did you just say it like publicly?
No, the offer is in. It's in the listing agent's inbox. We haven't got a response yet. They're going to go to the Diddy camp and see what they say, but it's for real, a $30 million offer.
I mean, do you think that they'll accept the $30 million offer? I mean, being that it's less than asking.
Well, Kanye accepted $21 million when I offered 39 less than what he was expecting.
If Diddy doesn't accept the $30 million offer, is that your final offer, or like how much are you willing to go to like negotiate to get
So
this
if he
home?
doesn't accept my $30 million offer, then my offer actually goes down to 27.5.
Oh, okay. You're standing on that.
I'm standing on that. I'm a firm negotiator, and if they don't accept it, then we go down from there. We don't go up.
Does it bother you that maybe some of the freak-off parties might have happened in the home?
May have happened. I'm pretty sure they did happen. However, that's the whole premise of this project, is to change the stigma, get in there and completely change the whole interior. That way a buyer that they come in, they'll see the previous pictures, they'll see what it was, and they'll see what I've transformed it into.
With the pressure mounting, the biggest question remains: can Diddy's empire survive? Once a trendsetter who redefined the music industry, he now faces allegations ranging from emotional abuse to sexual misconduct. Many are comparing his downfall to that of other disgraced figures like Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Jeffrey Epstein. Is his influence strong enough to withstand these accusations, or is this the beginning of the end for the music mogul?
After the dissolution of his partnership with Diageo, Combs' last remaining business asset was his equity stake in Revolt TV, the network he founded in 2012 to showcase creators in hip-hop and youth culture. In early June, as news of the sexual assault lawsuits continued making headlines, Combs sold back his stake in Revolt, and the company will hand his shares over to employees. Without Diageo and Revolt, Forbes estimates that Combs has approximately $200 million in cash. His Sean John fashion line, which once racked up more than $400 million in annual sales, has been dumped by Macy's, and his eyewear brand has been booted from opticians, rendering it virtually worthless. Despite Combs' impressive real estate portfolio, including 2 Miami homes and an LA compound, around half of its actual value is tied up in mortgages. His bad boy music catalog, which Forbes once estimated as high as $125 million, would likely fetch a much lower price these days. And his prospects look grim in the near future. The 6 civil lawsuits against him alleging sexual assault will play out along with the federal government's investigation. Given the severity of potential federal charges, Combs would face enormous financial penalties and a long prison sentence. Combs has not been criminally charged. Combs' former Manhattan headquarters for Bad Boy Worldwide is now just a pile of rubble. And much like his former corporate castle, the 54-year-old hip-hop mogul's empire has crumbled along with it.
We start with Harvey Weinstein. In April, the New York Court of Appeals overturned Weinstein's 2020 rape and sexual assault conviction and ordered a new trial. A retrial is set for November. Weinstein maintains his innocence and that all sexual encounters were consensual. Harvey Weinstein, once a Hollywood powerhouse, was accused by some 80 women, including Ashley Judd, of sexual assault and prosecuted in New York and California. He was acquitted of a 2010 sexual battery allegation, but a mistrial was declared for 2 other accusers. In 2020, he was convicted of rape and sexual assault, though New York's highest court later overturned his 23-year sentence.
This today is an act of institutional betrayal.
His defense attorney, Arthur Aidala.
So the Court of Appeals deserves a tremendous amount of credit for doing this, based on the law, not based on opinion polls.
Weinstein's legal troubles were far from over. In 2022, he was convicted of rape and assault in Los Angeles and recently indicted on new charges in New York, where he remains behind bars. Weinstein maintains all sexual encounters were consensual.
I believe I can fly.
R&B singer R. Kelly was sentenced in federal court in New York and Chicago for sexually abusing underage girls and recording it. In New York, the I Believe I Can Fly singer was sentenced to 30 years on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, followed by a 20-year sentence for child pornography and enticement charges in Chicago.
Timing of these lawsuits, right as New York City's legal window for gender-motivated violence claims closed, raises another critical question. Are these cases part of a calculated effort to take down a powerful figure, or do they expose a deeper issue within an industry that once celebrated Diddy's genius? As high-stakes litigation unfolds alongside his desperate asset sales, it becomes clear that he is at a major crossroads. His next moves will determine whether his legacy will be redefined for generations to come.
I think that the public and the media have gotten nearly every fact wrong about what the prosecution's case is here. So I just want to take one issue with that. You know, there's no minors, there's no celebrity sex tapes. You know, the civil lawsuits here are not driving the allegations that we're defending against, but it is driving the vitriol against him in the media.
This kind of created a life of its own, that they had seized videos of the freak-offs, and it kind of spun into who's on those tapes. And Hollywood became unusually silent.
I think there's one huge reason, and that's Tony Busby. Right after the indictment, he came out with a press conference with a 1-800 number behind him, threatening lawsuits against our client without having filed any. And we saw exactly how it played out, and we saw exactly why Hollywood went quiet.
And what she's referring to, part of why Hollywood went quiet is we now know that Tony Busby sent demand letters to several celebrities, most notably Jay-Z, who stood up to that and is actually now suing Tony Busby for extortion.
Right, because the person who was suing him dropped it because of all the inconsistencies in her case. Now, Tenny also said that they are going to be looking to file other defamation lawsuits, and she made that really clear.
I'm in LA, it's the Hollywood celebrity path to justice, where we simply look at a clip like that and we laugh and giggle about, oh, let's get alcohol, let's get drugs, let's get all these ladies at a party. You know, for years, P. Diddy's gotten a hall pass. He's actually created his own kingdom where he makes his own rules, and you got to follow his rules or you get penalized. And guess what, Laura? He's now in a federal penitentiary, and for the first time in his life, he's facing his own fate at the hands of somebody else. And I will tell you, Laura, I've done federal cases, that's not the place you want to be in federal court. 90% of federal criminal indictments brought down are pled out, right? A plea deal is brought. And of the only 10% left, 90% of those defendants that go to trial, they lose. So he is looking at a daunting uphill battle to fight these horrible charges.
Now, Brian, one of the DHS agents involved in this raid on his Miami mansion described what he saw inside the house, saying that, in my opinion, he's as bad as Epstein. These women are young, either barely legal or barely illegal. Brian, this sounds like he was a monster.
Yeah, Laura, I will tell you that this indictment was very detailed, by the way, too. Your viewers should know there were over 300 subpoenas served, over 50 witnesses interviewed. Why is that important? Because the federal prosecutors aren't going to be leveling an indictment like this unless they have ammunition and they have cause to bring it.
While media outlets rush to cover every twist in this scandal, the real human cost of these allegations cannot be ignored. For Rivers, the damage runs deep. Her story is one of shattered dreams, emotional distress, and a fight for justice. And for Diddy, this moment is just as pivotal. The lawsuits and public scrutiny force a harsh reckoning with what it means to hold power in an era where even the most untouchable figures can fall.
Like he wasn't. Nah, he had no plans. That's all. That was all from MTV show. That was all for MTV show, bruh. He had no plans for them. Not at all. He really had no plans for Danny the Game. And they sold records. And I that's why I had said that thing about what he had said, because I think it's the parents or somebody was getting at him. They was the parents, the management, or whatever like that was getting at him hard. And that's when he made that statement that I had said. He said, yo, they keep effing with me. I'ma drug all of them up and pimp them out to my nigga. And I said that on your show before. So he didn't have no real plans for them. Not at all. You see what happened after the MTV shit went off? If you had plans for him, you the super producer, somebody should have been all right.
So he was just playing games with them. When he was making them go walk to get cheesecake and all that, that was all...
Yeah, that's his ego. You know what I'm saying? That's his ego. Then he'll sit back in the studio, because he had like a big room, whereas that with this giant television, we used to eat up in there, and it was like sometimes artists would go in there and write, you know what I'm saying, Jennifer Lopez, they would go in there with a writer and write a song or something like that. It was a cool room. He would go in there and just talk about, you know, all kinds of crazy shit about people or whoever it was. You know what I mean?
So, is this the moment where Diddy's empire finally crumbles under the weight of a $60 million lawsuit? Or is it just another battle in a long war of reputation and influence? With new lawsuits surfacing, shocking claims being made, and major financial moves happening behind the scenes, this unfolding drama forces us to ask, is this the final chapter of Diddy's legacy, or just the start of an even darker revelation? If you want to stay updated on every twist in this explosive story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.